The Dancing Plague of 1518. When dancing turned deadly. In the heart of 16th century Europe, where superstition clashed with early science, one of the most bizarre and terrifying plagues struck. Not a plague of rats, or blood, or boils, but of dancing. In July 1518, in the bustling town of Strasbourg, then under the Holy Roman Empire, a woman named Frau Trophia stepped into the street and began to dance. There was no music, no crowd, no festival. She danced alone. What began with one would soon consume hundreds. Over the next several weeks, men, women, and children found their bodies uncontrollably twitching, spinning, flailing. Some danced until they collapsed from exhaustion. Others, until their hearts stopped. This wasn't a celebration. This was the dancing plague of 1518. And it remains one of the most unexplainable events in human history. Setting the stage. To understand how something so surreal could happen, we must first understand the world in which it occurred. Strasbourg 1518. A city trapped in the heat of summer. Built along the Rhine River, it was part of the vast Holy Roman Empire. People lived hard lives, dominated by religion, gripped by poverty, and shadowed by death. The previous years had brought famine and disease. Crops failed. Children starved. Plagues had swept through the region. To the people of Strasbourg, life was not a gift. It was a punishment. Superstition and fear were in the air. And in this environment, the smallest spark could ignite hysteria. The first dancer. Frau Trophia's dance began reportedly in mid-July. Witnesses claimed she looked distressed, as if she didn't want to move, but could not stop. Her arms flailed. Her legs shook. Her dress became soaked in sweat. She danced from morning till night. Neighbors tried to intervene. Her husband begged her to rest, but nothing worked. After several days, she collapsed, only to begin dancing again after a short sleep. Within a week, 30 others had joined her. By the month's end, nearly 400 people were dancing through the streets of Strasbourg. Some clawed at their skin. Others screamed out prayers or unintelligible words. And many, dozens by some accounts, died. The authorities respond. Faced with a spectacle they could neither understand nor control, the city's authorities turned to their two sources of power: medicine and religion. The city's physicians ruled out supernatural causes. This was not witchcraft, they claimed. Instead, it was a natural disease, caused by overheated blood. Their prescription: more dancing. Yes, you heard that right. Believing that the afflicted would recover if they danced the illness out, the city erected stages. They cleared spaces in public halls and even hired musicians. Drums, fiddles, pipes. Anything to help the people purge their madness. But the plan backfired. Rather than curing the dancers, it encouraged more to join. The plague spread. By mid-August, dozens had died. Of strokes, heart attacks, sheer exhaustion. The city was on the brink of chaos. The theories. Centuries have passed. But the question remains. What really happened in Strasbourg that summer? How could hundreds of people dance themselves to death? Let's explore the leading theories. Theory 1. Mass psychogenic illness. This theory suggests a form of mass hysteria, what we now call mass psychogenic illness. It often affects groups under extreme stress, particularly communities dealing with fear, poverty, and trauma. Strasbourg fit the profile perfectly. The stress of famine, disease, religious terror. The people may have converted their anxiety into physical expression, dancing as a subconscious release. Cases of mass hysteria have occurred throughout history. Laughing epidemics, fainting outbreaks, even meowing nuns in medieval convents. Could the dancing plague be the most extreme case on record? Theory 2. Ergot poisoning. Another popular theory points to ergot, a toxic mold that grows on damp rye. Ergot contains alkaloids similar to LSD. Ingesting ergot-contaminated bread could lead to hallucinations, spasms, and convulsions. However, critics argue this can't fully explain the coordinated dancing or its prolonged nature. Ergot poisoning tends to incapacitate, not energize. Theory 3. Religious belief and Saint Vitus. Saint Vitus was widely believed to protect or curse people with dance-related afflictions. Many thought the dancers were victims of his wrath. It wasn't uncommon for people in the Middle Ages to enter trances during religious festivals. The Strasbourg dancers may have believed they were possessed and danced as a form of penance or exorcism. Theory 4. Social rebellion or ritual. Some fringe theorists propose the dancing was intentional, a form of protest or ritual, an expression of suffering in a world that refused to listen. Could it have been a religious cult? A communal breakdown of sanity? We may never know. The end of the plague. As the death toll rose, officials abandoned the idea of musical treatment. They turned to the church. The dancers were transported, many barefoot and bleeding, to a mountaintop shrine dedicated to Saint Vitus. There they were blessed, given religious symbols, and made to walk in a solemn procession. Some accounts say they were cured. Others say they simply stopped dancing. The plague slowly faded, and never returned to Strasbourg on the same scale. Legacy of the dancing plague. Today, the dancing plague remains a source of fascination. It appears in medical texts, psychology papers, history documentaries, and folklore. It has inspired novels, music, and even stage plays. But the core mystery remains unsolved. Was it disease, madness, spiritual crisis, or something darker? Conclusion. The dancing plague of 1518 reminds us that the human mind is both fragile and powerful. It teaches us that under enough stress, reality itself can break down. That belief can shape behavior, and that sometimes the most terrifying things are not what we see but what we feel. In the end, it wasn't a virus that brought Strasbourg to its knees. It was fear, and it danced through the streets like wildfire. Subscribe for more haunting tales, historical mysteries, and unbelievable true stories.